Dude, you may be able to live without touch and affection, but I sure as hell can't. That's a comment I received on one of my previous podcast episodes. And I totally get what he's saying. But this is not about living without touch and affection. Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach and founder of SecureHusband.com. There's a misunderstanding when we talk about touch and affection. No marriage should be without touch and affection and sex. But there's a misunderstanding sometimes with my podcast. But you see, the need for touch and connection and affection, it's hardwired. It's biological. And as I mentioned, it's part of a healthy marriage. But this is about healing so that touch and affection and connection can return to a marriage when it's been missing. And I get where the comment's coming from. Because for a long time, I felt that exact same way. I thought, look, if I'm not being touched, something must be wrong. If she doesn't initiate, I'm not attractive. She doesn't desire me. And you're starving. You feel like you're starving without touch. But we do need touch and connection and affection. They're biological needs, and you're not weak for craving them, and you don't give them up in your marriage. But what happens is when that need for touch and affection becomes your source of identity and self-worth, that's where the problem lies. Because now it's more than touch and sex and affection. It becomes a measure of your self-worth. And when you turn these things into a measurement of worth and value, then all of a sudden it starts turning into other things. It starts turning into a compulsion. It starts turning into what you think is a survival strategy. It's really a wound trying to be filled. And that's why when you say, I can't live without touch and affection, you're right. But it's touch and affection for the right reasons. It's noticing the difference between a healthy biological need and a wounded craving trying to fill a hole inside. And it's a wound that needs to heal. Because wanting affection, it doesn't make you weak. Needing a connection, that's human. And it doesn't make you needy. As I mentioned, we're biologically wired for connection. We're held to regulate our nervous system. We're soothed. Skin-to-skin contact, eye contact. When we're infants, we learn safety through touch and tone of voice and proximity. And as men, we still need that, no matter who you are. We still need that to feel grounded and to feel safe and bonded. So yeah, when your wife has stopped offering affection, you start feeling like a part of you is withering away. And that's valid. That pain is real. And it deserves compassion, not shame. Because when that affection starts becoming your source of self-worth, it stops being a need and starts being a trap. It becomes a measurement. You start keeping score. And it's confusing. Because you're asking yourself, do I feel unwanted if she doesn't touch me? And then you start measuring your masculinity by how often she initiates. And it all results into this spiral of anger or shame when the affection isn't there. And so you're not wrong for needing connection, but you're just misplacing the value. You're misplacing your value. And it feeds into false core beliefs. That you can't feel okay unless she wants you physically. That her body is the proof that you matter. If she touches me, I'm enough. If not, I'm failing. That's no longer just desire. That's identity. That's worth. You're handing your self-worth over to her affection patterns. And that's not love, that's emotional survival. And once you notice that, you get to choose to stop making her touch your source of worth and love. Are you giving up on affection and touch? Absolutely not. But you stop making it the barometer of your worth. You don't stop needing or wanting affection. You just stop depending on it to feel like a man. It's okay to still want affection, deeply, but you're able to say it with confidence that I'm no longer going to hand over my sense of worth to whether or not I receive it. Now, that's not giving up. That's growing up. Because the moment you stop chasing affection to feel okay and start anchoring your identity in something deeper, you become the kind of man she can connect to again. Because you're no longer bringing her pressure, you're bringing her peace. And you're not giving up on yourself. And you're not giving up on touch and affection. And it's all at the root. It's that inner boy that felt starved for touch. That part of you that craves affection now as a grown man. But back then, he was a boy who wasn't hugged enough or emotionally taken care of or given a safe physical connection growing up. So when your wife's absence of affection feels like the same wound being ripped open again, that's triggering. But as we always say, she didn't cause that wound. She can't be expected to heal it. You must show up for that little boy now, and you sit with him and you say, little guy, I know you're lonely. You're scared. You don't think you can make it if no one reaches for you, but I'm here now. I'm reaching for you. I'm providing you love and affection, and I'm not going to abandon you. And you connect to a divine guidance, a divine sense of love, God, the universe, your higher spirit, that source of unconditional love and inherent worth that says, yeah, little guy, you're held, you're seen, you are worthy, you are loved unconditionally, you are absolutely worth affection and touch, even when no one's reaching for you. See, that's how you start feeling full again. You don't need someone else to prove it to you. And that allows you to relax and bring a different energy into the relationship. Because when you come to your wife with desperation or panic or hidden expectations, she doesn't feel your love, she feels your need. And we talk about that a lot in this podcast because that energy, no matter how gentle your words are trying to be, it still feels heavy and it feels unsafe and it feels pressuring and uninviting. But when you start to heal, when you heal that little boy inside and you reach for that spiritual connection that provides that unconditional love, and you start to heal those internal wounds, you shift that energy. You shift that energy to confidence and presence and calm and so much love for yourself that it overflows. And you bring something radically different now. Now your affection says, I love you, and I'm full whether you respond or not. And that's the message you tell your wife instead of, please give me this or I'll start unraveling. That's the difference between healthy connection and emotional dependency. Again, you are not giving up touch and affection. You're just shifting the dynamic for touch and affection to return. And touch is just one way to feel connection. And we talk about building a full life with a spiritual anchor and physical health, a purposeful mission outside your marriage. All of these things combine to create this inner fullness so that affection becomes an expression and not a need for survival. And you can still desire touch and you can still invite it, but you're no longer afraid of the absence of it. And that opens the door for it to return. That's what gives you emotional stability. And that stability is what makes her feel safe enough to come closer again. So no, you never have to give up affection and touch. You just have to know how to calm that storm inside of you and love without needing to be rescued. And you can open up with confidence and strength. And you can tell your wife, hey, look, I miss closeness with you. But it's not because I'm empty. It's because I want to share what's full in me. I still crave your touch. That hasn't changed, but I'm no longer needing it to feel whole. I'm choosing to offer love from a place of strength. And whether you say that out loud or not, that creates an energy, and that energy is magnetic. It's attractive. It's safe. It's trustworthy. It's clear. It rebuilds connection in a way that control and pleading never will. And you're not giving up touch or affection. Look, you're not wrong for needing affection. You're human. But when affection becomes the only way you know how to feel loved or seen or safe, you're not living from connection. You're living from a wound. And wounds don't get healed by your wife. They get healed when you come home to yourself and let love flow from that place. That's becoming the secure husband, where you don't have to beg to be touched. You just have to learn how to love without losing yourself. And no, again, you don't have to give up touch and affection, period. I hope this podcast has been helpful for you. If so, please give me a review. Hit that subscribe button for more Secure Husband episodes. And share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. Visit securehusband.com for more resources and to book one-on-one coaching with me. I'll see you again on the next Secure Husband podcast. Thanks for listening.